welcome to Smash Writing. We still haven't come up with a third name yet. I'm Justin! Yay! That's
and I am Paul.
God, the depressing sounds that come out of his mouth. Look at him. He knows it. He's trying to
This is what has become of us.
Da -da -da. Da -da -da.
So, today's discussion is director's cuts.
A not new idea that people feel special about for some reason.
So, originally, this thing has really been so big, and we're going to cover it for a few moments, but it's not the whole episode. So everybody
become the whole episode
probably because he has a lot of hatred for it.
It's not hatred. It's just why? Who cares?
Well, apparently a lot of people care that. So this discussion became an idea because we got finally, and I believe I did a blog on it when HBO Max announced that they are paying for the Snyder cut to happen.
There's so many questions I have with that. Like you've heard all these stories throughout the years of people watching it and thinking it was fantastic, but they have to make it. It's not complete. Who watched them and said, "Oh, it's fantastic," if it's not even done?
Right, and the CEO, I guess the CEO of HBO Max was asked about. Asked about.
I'll correct that every time.
He will. The question proposed to him was, everybody wanted to know how much was it make, because somebody popped out a number of like 30 million, and his response was, "I wish it was 30 million."
Yeah.
So, meaning to bring everybody back.
Well, from what they say that they're going to bring them back, but then an article came out and said none of them were coming back.
my thing is, when it comes to director's cut, look, let's break down this particular director. His films were never good.
I mean,
they were what they were. People didn't beg for a Snyder cut with the Man of Steel. They didn't beg for a Batman versus Superman.
They just gave that one. Here's a DVD, director cut DVD.
And mind you, okay, and I'm going to be perfectly honest here. Warner Brothers, who owns DC behind the scenes and all that, they were going to fire Snyder because they wanted the DC properties to be on the Marvel level. The first entry to the DCEU...
Well, to be fair, Warner has not done them justice.
No,
they're like, this right now thing was never going to work.
But I'm saying, though, he was basically... Look at the movies that are helping DCEU that don't involve Zach Snyder. That was the hint at first that, they wanted... Nobody probably had high hopes of Man of Steel. To be honest with you, I actually like Man of Steel. They just could have done a little bit more better with the story. But you got what you got out of Snyder. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Suicide Squad.
Well, I think, was the director cut any different?
Of what? Suicide Squad?
No, Batman vs. Superman.
I don't think so. I literally think what you saw is what you got.
I know it ups it over 3 hours and it makes stuff make sense, but nothing about that story made any sense to begin with.
That was probably one of the most hyped and overrated films because yes, when they first advertised Batman v Superman, I was like, oh, this could be real, this could be good. But then it was like Dawn of Justice. We're like, okay, because they're two good guys feuding, I get to Dawn of Justice, but then you seen the movie. And Martha!
I didn't want to go. You forced me to go see that movie.
I told you it was for our
website.
No,
it wasn't, because I wasn't involved at that point.
I was recruiting you.
You were just like, I don't want to go alone.
Yeah, that was back before Smash was fully Smash writing. But you got what you got. His movies, outside of
Dawn of the Dead, well, that's where his niche is horror. He should never leave that genre. Because Snyder can make a really good horror movie.
I did enjoy his the images, the imagery or whatever he uses. Like, I did enjoy 300.
I don't like the imagery.
I did enjoy 300. I'm saying, like If you can name how many Zack Snyder movies you enjoyed, they're going to be on your hand. Would you at least agree with that?
On one hand?
On one hand.
One finger.
Okay, well, you said
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead, which I didn't know he actually directed. I did enjoy Man of Steel.
Man of Steel's alright.
Problem was the budget was just so overboard, it didn't... You should never do that.
The direction of the story, it could have been better. They could have crisped it up. Like him making the dad, like, don't be a hero. It's like that.
Yeah. They could have done a little bit better, but...
because that's kind of what fueled him on.
Right.
And then knowing where Man of Steel went into Batman vs. Superman does hurt it.
I think that was so afterwards.
A bad sequel can hurt a movie.
Yeah. And the third film is 300. That was literally the three movies that I can think of that I can say I enjoyed from
300 was alright the first time I watched it, but then when you try to watch it a second time, it's like, oh no.
And yeah, if your movie doesn't have staying power, that's going to hurt. Because you want to make a film that people are going to watch over and over again. We review, there's so many films I review, but I'll still watch them over if I like them.
Becky. You watched Becky yet? You should.
That was last week's episode.
It's going to be so much more enjoyable to think back in this topic.
So speed back up to Justice League. You know, the thing of director's cut was, it was always like, okay, the studio has their view of the movie, and the director, for years upon years, have always made additional scenes. For one reason or another, for like the deleted scene special, the deleted scenes for on the Blu-ray, DVD, and all that. Or, unfortunately, when actors don't want to return for whether it's a death or just don't, they have stock footage. They use that stock footage to write a character out, because look at some of the things that Star Wars did, and
Star Wars just tried to rewrite its own history.
Yeah,
that's what that problem was.
But so director's cut's always been around. Problem is, sometimes director's cuts are not good.
I just don't see a reason why this should matter. I mean, Justice League wasn't... Well, I thought it was enjoyable for what it was. It could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're looking at the Snyder Cut and everything that's revolved around it. And it's going to take...
Yeah, literally, like...
from Suicide
talking
Squad
about director cuts... Talking about director cut was never whatever I would think in a million years would be an idea. Because you get that director's cut on a DVD, on a Blu-ray, 4K, whatever you use to watch on a streaming service, whatever. You get that because you're like, well, the first movie was good, but I'll pay the extra $2 to see that plus additional stuff. But the problem is, and I always think, you don't know the director's cut if it's going to be any good. And now we're talking about Justice League. The rumor is that to make the Snyder Cut, which, like you just mentioned, it was supposed to be... we were under an impression that the film that we got was like 40% Zach and like 60% Josh.
But the thing is, like, you're taking the Snyder Cut, and you're taking the Justice League, and you're changing the villain. You're adding your stuff from Suicide Squad, and you're going in these different directions, but you're going to try to do it at a cost-saving measure. And there were varying reports on who's coming back and who's not coming back.
Yeah, nothing is confirmed yet about...
And what does it matter from here? What do you want to re-jumpstart the DCEU? First off, the DCEU hasn't ever really stopped.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you still have two of them running, in Aquaman and Wonder Woman. And if you're pulling in Suicide Squad into this, you still got Margot Robbie's Harley running. So you haven't even really stopped what you want to restart.
The second Suicide Squad, is, I think, almost done. Or is it done?
It should be coming close. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, and you're right. This is...
You could just pull Henry Cavill and drop him wherever you want in a new movie.
Which now
Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Supposedly he was originally done with Superman, but now he agreed to a new contract where, at least for right now, he's going to be in cameos as Superman, because Man of Steel 2 is nowhere on the spot just yet.
Yeah.
And that, that's all fine. But you still, Ben Affleck, he doesn't want to be Batman. He's done.
Well, someone was reporting an article told no stock in this. This was just an article I saw. It was HBO Max is working on a script for Affleck's Batman and Leto's Joker.
Ugh.
I don't want another Joker to begin with, let alone Leto.
Yeah, he does not like Leto at all.
I don't want to say that. He just, compared to every other Joker, is the bottom.
Well, and here's, the thing when it comes to director's cut, because David Ackers said that when he sent the film, the Suicide Squad, to the studio, they took out a bunch of the Joker scenes. Well,
didn't they put a Suicide Squad movie out that had all those scenes in it
I
already?
don't believe so. I actually have to...
People were talking about the scenes, watching it, in that it does twist the Harley Joker in more in a villainous way and not a less romantic way that they put on the first one. I only watched Suicide Squad once. And here's the thing about Suicide Squad. You can enjoy the movie if you watch it one time. Watch it one time and be done. If you try to watch it a second time, all of the flaws will be shown.
I think I literally opened my Blu-ray to take the plastic off, but I've seen it on TV so many times I have not watched it. I really haven't.
I tried to watch it again, and I made it to the scene where they're meeting in the prison yard, and that's as far as I can make it.
Like I said,
But there's so much no, do not put the director's cut of Suicide Squad.
The director started putting that hashtag out there.
Oh god.
And that's why these director cuts
Didn't they say it was cut by 6 different people? Are we gonna get 6 different cuts of this movie? Because it was a bad movie the first time.
And that's the thing. Sometimes I remember I said,
you can enjoy a bad movie.
Sometimes the product that you see in theaters is probably the best product they can get out of the movie. I'll give you an example of...
And the thing is, we're talking, this Justice League movie, it's adding all this new stuff on the run. And you're still going to get people who are going to call it the best, and they need you're not...
The only things that they have for this film,
the
Snyder Cut, is basically the CGI footage that they're going to use. And so far, that seems like that's all that they really have. They don't have anything else, which, you're right, they're probably going to go on the go.
And this isn't going to change anyone's mind. You're going to think it's the best. You already do. Zack Snyder can do no wrong in the DCEU, despite him being the flaw of every major issue they have.
Remember, and I am not going to make joke of what he claims was the situation, because he was in a...
I do feel bad for the guy. I could feel bad for his situation.
But my thing was, I believe he was fired before... He was getting fired. Because, look, like I said, the Warner Brothers wanted DCEU to rise up Marvel did.
Let me already take back something here. I don't think he was the main flaw. He's flaw number 2. Warner Brothers is flaw number 1.
Right, but when Warner Brothers is paying the bill, they're not the problem.
Yeah, they're the problem.
They are, but to them they're not.
Yeah.
So they can't fire themselves. What are they going to do, sell DC property to some others?
Please. Is that an option on the table?
I mean...
I'll take Disney, DC, in a heartbeat.
Disney will now own, in 2022, they will now own DC and Marvel properties.
You can't call it a monopoly, because you know what? You got Dynamite running around there. No,
you know what, another movie we forgot to say, I bought it, but, when we're talking about this DCEU, how they think that the Snyder Cut's going to kickstart, and it's still going. Shazam was I haven't watched it yet. I own it.
We're sad. I haven't watched Shazam either.
But everybody that I've heard from that watched it, or the reviews on it, everybody praises it.
Yeah.
So, but once again, that was a film without Zack Snyder. Minus Warner Brothers, Zack Snyder was the problem. And you're asking for, to the point where, like I said, director's cuts have always been around. Sometimes I buy movies that has both the theater version and the...
Pardon my unprofessionalism. I'm getting a drink.
I bought films that show both films in the Blu-ray.
I buy the one that has the $5 tag. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have.
But I'm going to tell you from my experiences watching some of these movies with director's cut, the director's cuts can be worse. One movie that I will say was god awful for a director's cut, and you'll probably say it's god awful. Period. Was, and I'm just using it as an example. It comes to mind. Halloween, the Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I
don't know, from what I heard, I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but Rob Zombie made Halloween 2 just to give the finger to the Halloween fans that bashed them the first time around. I never watched the second one just because after the first one I'm like, no, why would I pay myself?
So I went to the theaters and I watched the second one.
You aren't a smart one.
I watched it, okay? Now just when you compare the two. But then when it came out on home video, I bought the Blu-ray that had the director's cut included.
Wasn't there a part where Michael spoke in that?
Yes, and I was literally bringing that up. So, in the theater cut, you see Michael, you didn't really see his face. He kept it hidden. He wore the mask when he needed to wear the mask, but he kept his face hidden.
Yeah.
You watch the director's cut, he talks, and you see his face. There was no mystery behind him anymore.
Yeah.
And I watched both cuts, and I'm like, the director's cut, thank God the director's cut didn't make it to film. Make it to the theaters.
I'm trying to remember director's cut movies because I don't pay enough attention to it as I probably should just because I just want to watch the movie. I don't care. I think Alien vs. Predator, did they have a director's cut or was it an unrated cut?
Unrated.
Unrated. A lot of people got mad over the PG-13. I was too. I don't think you should make an Alien or Predator.
I think another word for unrated probably is director's cut.
And Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. That had so many cuts. I think it had like the regular cut, the director's cut, the studio producer cut. They're just cuts. Like, that's going to be what happens with like Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
like 5 years, they're going to have 6 versions of Suicide Squad running around because of all these cuts. And I get why HBO is doing this. I want to think this is strategic on HBO and Warner. What is the one thing people have been screaming for X amount of years?
Yeah.
The Justice League director cut, the Snyder cut, release the Snyder cut.
Yeah, not the director's cut,
really?
it's the Snyder's
Release
cut.
the Snyder cut that doesn't exist. And it doesn't. Because they have to make it.
If
people were watching this movie, then they wouldn't have to make it.
Here's the thing, if they're sitting there, if the CEO of HBO Max said this movie is going to cost more to finish, then that means there's nothing for them to do. They have to start from scratch because adding some CGI scenes is not 30+ million.
No.
Paying the crew to mix it together is not... Those producers, unless you're a big name director, you don't make that much compared to, you know, the guy who puts the makeup on the guy's face. They're not making millions of dollars either. They're making like $10,000, $15,000. So to sit there and say it's going to make the Snyder Cut be 30+ million, that's basically saying there's nothing there. So which means anything they ever talked about before was just probably scratchbook in the back of the trailer going, this scene would be pretty good if it's probably on the script.
You know, people I've seen put in the comments like, we're waiting on HBO Max for the Justice League trailer to drop so they can get the free trial and get out. So it's like, are you even going to make any money on this investment?
And that's another thing, like, well, the only reason why they're probably going to... I don't know if HBO Max right now is going to be a hit. The fact is they're botching a lot of properties that they own right now. And watch a couple weeks ago the video and podcast of my review of it, because, yeah, I do have it because I want more resources for us to watch movies.
Somebody has to. Someone has to review Justice League because I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I've already reviewed Justice League. I've moved on.
And you know, honestly, so have I. But it's crazy that we look up and what's, you know, when we...
You know what's really sad? You're going to have to watch the original version too.
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch the film that I haven't watched in a year and a half twice just to compare it.
Maybe a picture of this.
I think people have to understand that director's cuts don't always mean good. Look at the director's body of work and you'll get an idea if the film's going to be good.
You gotta remember,
We
like,
just named 3 Zack Snyder films that we can tolerate.
You gotta remember that these people are the ones who think Batman vs Superman is the greatest.
And it wasn't.
It was bad.
Yeah. Like, people make fun of that film strictly because of that scene.
I tried hitting him with my car for making me go out there to watch it.
He did. I had to get out of the parking lot. Like I said, director's cuts have been around for ages. I've never seen something like this where a studio a media outlet is going to put more money than it's worth. You're right. Okay, already, honestly, $30 million to finish the Snyder Cut is probably more than it's actually worth. If HBO Max right now is having so many issues, even after the video that I aired doing a solo episode, a lot has already changed. Some classic movies are leaving.
They're about to lose the DC lineup from like all the Batman movies, and they're about to walk.
But the funny thing is, I know there's existing contracts, and Disney Plus has the same issue too. But you gotta get those contracts taken care of, especially HBO Max, because you're paying $15 a month, while every other streaming service is like $5 to $8. Netflix actually has been, I thought next when Disney Plus came out and now HBO, I thought could be the end of Netflix. No, you go on their stream shows, they're getting more movies, they're getting their own originals are great.
Yeah. And
there's more competition because Apple has a streaming service now, but HBO Max is already falling. Now you want to fork out a $30+ million bill to make a movie that, I mean, honestly, even the budget for the original film was like $250 million.
Yeah, something like that.
And it only grossed like $400.
Well, I think the problem was like Justice League needed to be $1 billion product because it's the Justice League.
They wanted to be on the Avengers level. But here's the thing. What Warner Brothers did not realize with Marvel and Disney, and even just say Marvel, was that their earlier films with Iron Man, they were not $400 million films.
No.
They were like 100. The budget's only increased because they needed to keep all the actors, which seems to be so difficult for the DCEU.
The DCEU's problem is, well, I will say the DC movie fans can be toxic. Really toxic. Like, they were threatening one reviewer who gave bad review for Batman vs Superman. They are telling her
that remember you called me crying about that?
Like, they told the one reviewer they hope that her family's raped in front of her. Like, and then you get just, no one has been cast as Batman that has been accepted the moment it happened. They've all been bashed, and they all went on to prove them wrong. Except for maybe Clooney.
Yeah, Clooney is still notorious. Where even people accepted Val Kilmer as Batman.
I like Val Kilmer as Batman. That was my first Batman, though, so I got that nostalgia.
And even like with people, Robert Pattinson, some people are bashing, but
people flipped out when Keaton got the job.
Some of the best people that play heroes, probably you would say in a million years would never. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Nobody wanted that cast. Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. Everybody thought that was horrible. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. He's too tall. Yeah. Now you want him back after he's like, man, 17 years. I can't do it anymore.
You can do it. Come on. One more. For Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds wants this.
I want him more in the Deadpool movie than I want him in the Avengers movie.
Right. But at the end of the day, these director's cuts, they are very hit and miss.
They're not a new concept.
Yeah.
They've been around for a while.
But the funny thing is, most of these prior director cuts, they were already made. Now the one that made this discussion possible doesn't have. He directed. He was filming some of the film when he got fired, and then he unfortunately went through some family time.
Well, no, that happened before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he was fired. I think he...
Yeah, he resigned, but it was like, I feel like it was probably like one of those situations where you go, you either walk out on your own, or we're going to fire you. And it's just funny how it was just, everything was lining up together for that. So I believe it wasn't, if he didn't take a leave of absence, he was probably going to get fired.
And it could have just, delayed Justice League. They didn't because they wanted their bonus. Which brings us back to Warner, stop making the bad decision. Think first. You have $1 billion project that you just dropped on the ground.
Yeah. And, like I said, director's cuts are very hit and miss, and you have to be careful. If I was Warner Brothers...
I don't have to worry about this. You're watching it.
If I was Warner Brothers, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, the movie came out 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
Let it go. Keep it there. You've actually moved on pretty well from it.
You rebounded from a disaster with Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey to a point. I know that has a lot of naysayers, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And Suicide Squad 2 could pull that franchise out of the dirt.
So let's call this. Let's wrap this episode up, and let's put it this way. My final words on this topic is: there's a reason why director's cuts don't always make it, and you have to keep that in mind. You want the Snyder cut? Be careful with what you ask for. It's going to be worse. I'm actually putting it on record. It will be worse than what you already watched.
I'm putting on record that I've moved on with everyone else. Bye-bye! Bye!